everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having an absolutely amazing day today. If you're new here, hi, I'm Liz, aka My Pastel Past, and I'm back with another video for you all today. Today we're going to be working on a little bit of an awkward section of my island. We're going to be doing a little bit of a cafe build, which is also going to include a small custom code that I made specifically for this cafe. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. And with that being said, let's hop right into this build. So the first thing that I had to do with this area of my island for this cafe in particular is to create a custom code for it. And for this custom code, I wanted to do two different things. I wanted to make first a menu item for the cafe and then also just some shelving units. And because I'm not upgrading my museum on my island, I wanted to do something very similar to what Brewster has. So I kind of left the classic white and blue, very tropical color scheme I had, and I went for a few more richer, darker colors. So I'm using like a red, green, a little bit of yellow to kind of tie in the color of the lamps that Brewster has in the cafe, along with the browns. It's why I chose this color palette. I ended up not having to change any of the colors at all for this specific custom code, or well, I changed them a little bit, but for the most part I used all the ones that they just had in here, which was super nice. I didn't have to fiddle around with shades or anything, which in my case is always super awesome and amazing because I personally hate having to mess around with shading and colors. It's just very annoying for me and tedious, mostly because I don't really understand color theory. If you understand color theory, please tell me how it works, because I've been trying to make a water path for the past 4 days and I don't understand why my white is showing up as gray on top of my blue. So if you know why that's happening, please tell me. But I wanted to make almost like this chalkboard effect. I remember with almost every cafe that I've been to, they have like this little chalkboard where they draw and they write all over it. So that's what I was kind of going for. I then cleared out an extra tiled path that I had just in case I wanted to change it in order to create this shelving unit. And thank goodness for the little adjusting tool for where I can move the design all over the page, because I used that quite a few times in this design. For it, I was trying to create the coffee bean bags that Brewster gives you throughout your journey of visiting them in the little Brewster cafe. I mostly just at this point trying to get the shapes in and the sizing, and then getting the shelving in as best as I possibly could. I, for some reason, thought that their bags were yellow at first, and then I actually looked up a photo and I realized it's dark red with a little bit of green on the top acting as like the sticker, and then the actual tag itself is yellow. For some reason, in my head when I was first doing this, it was flipped, but I added the little tag and then I'm adding a little bit of shading to the bag so it just has a little bit more of a dynamic effect. And then I'm able to add those onto simple panels to add them at the back, and I think they look pretty good for trying something different and new. I've never had to make coffee bags before, so I think it's turned out pretty alright. I will say though, making this build has made me miss Brewster so much. It's weird not being able to visit them every single morning and get my daily cup of coffee in Animal Crossing, so I'm kind of missing it right now. But it's also interesting to try something new with my museum where I don't have to upgrade and donate things. So it's a sweet but sour kind of taste, I guess it leaves. Because on one hand, I miss Brewster, but on the other, it's kind of cool having something different. And once again, Sherb is being annoying as always and trying to get into the middle of my builds. They did this a few times. Look at Sherb already going and sitting in the chair that I had just placed. Why they decided to do that, I'm not too sure. But I ended up going back and grabbing some wood panels, that's what they're called. Totally forgot the name of those for a second. And then I originally wanted to add some other plants. Ended up switching those out. I don't know how to pronounce the name of these ones. I ended up switching those for round topiaries. They just looked a little bit better. But once again, Sherb is hanging out right where I'm trying to build and start striking up conversations where I don't really want them around. Don't know why Sherb likes to do this, but it's just a thing that Sherb does. I then expanded the tiles that I had for this little cafe area all the way to the edge so I can continue using wood partitions, almost like a fence. It's one of my favorite things to end up using. But once I have those placed, I start to mess around with the round topiaries a little bit. I kind of wanted to use them as accent points for the corners of all of the different wood partitions that I'm using as fencing. But in the end, the entranceway to each of these areas or zones for this cafe ended up being too small, so I removed some of them and only placed them in areas where it would actually look nice, but also be functional for the entrance. So I did that where the bottom half of the seating area is, and then on the side here a little bit. And turns out for some reason my wood partition just didn't want to sit properly, so I had to move things around to get it to fit, but in the end it worked out. I then placed another Moroccan sofa and the little Zen table, and for some reason I can't actually squeeze in between them. I can fit in when I move it a full grid space, but not a half one, which really confused me because I know for a lot of things we can squeeze into some kind of tight or smaller spaces than normal, but for some reason for that sofa and that table I was unable to do so. So if you know why, please let me know in the comments down below, because I was super confused on why that wouldn't let me do it. But for this area, I ended up using both the Moroccan sofas and the bistro tables just to add a little bit more of a dynamic effect. One of my favorite things about cafes is having different kinds of seatings, like having couches if you're with a big group, or little tables if you have fewer people with you when you're going out. So that's what I tried to do. I also like that these tables have umbrellas on them, because I feel when you're going outside to go and sit and have coffee, you need something there to kind of protect you from the sun. Now that the main portion of the cafe is finished, it was mostly about just trying to get the little nature areas done, just so it looked a little bit more finished and well-rounded at the very end. So I added just a few flowers, a few extra items like wood partitions and the lights, and then some of the bushes for the final effect. And this is what this area looks like in the end. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I love seeing the white and the blue pop against this path that we have. The cafe I think is super cute. I might end up adding some coffee beans later on since I don't really have any of them at the moment. At least none that I could find when I was originally making this. But even just going through this pathway to get to some of the other areas, like the mini golf course I have, which I made in my last YouTube video, I think it's super cool just being able to run through a cafe that isn't just one simple block, but instead it kind of encompasses more than just one area. If you like this build and you want to see more, make sure you like that video, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!